Hey everybody, this is the Any Thoughts podcast. It's me, Benny.
It's me, B-Rad.
It's
Me,
me,
Ivy.
Big Mo. What's up? It's me, Big Mo. What's up?
Good job, bro. So yeah, we're gonna start off with some slapping and chapping, but remember to subscribe to the podcast as we're trying to hit a goal of 100 subs before the end of May, and then we'll do a shitty movie watch along, which includes the movies Dracula 3000 or Velocipastor, which will
Jesus.
set the vote up if we've reached that.
Yes.
Also follow us on Instagram. Link is in the description and Twitter. With that said, anybody want to start first?
I can go first.
Okay.
Yeah, so what's been slapping and what's been chapping with me? So I guess what's been chapping, I got this project that's due on the 14th and I haven't even started yet. So that's gonna be fun to rush and do. And oh god, like again, all my classes they're just they're just trying to finish and get everything done as soon as possible. I like that, but it's just for me. I just feel overworked. I don't feel like I'm getting enough sleep, and it's gonna be very very tough for me. And then what's chapping for me is, sorry, what's slapping for me is that after I get done with this podcast, I'm gonna get something to eat, and I can't wait. People, you gotta
Nice.
enjoy the little things in life, you know.
What are you getting?
I don't know yet. I know only thing I'm
Wherever
gonna eat.
Corona takes you.
Yeah, yeah. Wherever the Corona-filled wind takes me, people enjoy the little things in life. That's the only thing you got right now. So
Is it true?
I'll pass it off to somebody else.
Yeah,
All right,
nice.
I'll go.
Yeah.
So, so what's been slapping is today is cheat day, or today was cheat day. It was the Friday. So I had 3 square meals today. So breakfast was it's surprising to enjoy like Brad said, once in a while you just got to enjoy the little things. So I had breakfast today. Breakfast was sparse, but it was average. It was just like bread and butter and jam and stuff, and it was pretty good. I had a bagel, which I haven't had a bagel in a while, so that was good. Um, but for lunch and dinner, I had these amazing cake cake based pastries, and man, that was so good, so good. And like they were like the perfect amount of like sweet and like slightly salty because of like it had nuts and stuff in it. So like they had like it was the perfect like sweet and salty combination, but like more sweet to salty, like more tending towards sweet than salty, but the salt was still there.
Interesting.
What's been Yeah, so it was nice. I just ate a lot of protein. So tomorrow it's going to be ab day. So I'm just going to kill my abs and pretty much my just myself in general with that ab workout. So yeah, so that's what's been slapping. What's been clapping though is my visa expired, and so either it could be one of two things. I may end up having to leave the country, or I just spoke to my boss. I may stick around because I'm on engineer's visa. So until everything opens, I will still pretty much be just here. So yeah, that's my scene. Anybody else got something to say?
I think Avi was
Cool.
next.
All right, I'm next. So what's been slapping? Um, I really got into this show. It's called Dororo. It's on Netflix. I mean, I said Netflix. It's on Amazon Prime. Tinder Gold. Um, get our earlier episodes
Call
if you
back.
want to know the similarities between the two. But anyways, it's a
These
pretty good
niggas said
show.
call back.
It's animated. It's an anime. If you guys are into that, I know
That
we
means
got
Japanese
some.
animation.
Yeah, we got some weaves. I know listening, but if you do, it's a pretty good show. It's really dark. It's a dark fantasy type of show, and it pretty much picks up like every episode. Um, and pretty much a quick synopsis of it is basically is based in feudal Japan, and a king. Um, there's a king of a land in Japan, and pretty much the land he's over is going through turmoil, wars, and suffering for years and years. And what he does is he makes a deal with the demons, saying, I want my land to prosper. I want my people to not suffer anymore. So the deal that the demons make with him is that his firstborn son will die at birth. The son will be born with no limbs, no heart or anything like that. And
Thanks.
pretty much throughout the show, it's based years later. The son, you'll see like in the very first episode, the son grows up and he becomes a great warrior. And when the son defeats demons, he grows like different parts of his body. So he learns like how to hear, how to smell. And the cool thing is like when he like defeats a demon, like you'll see like when he gains like his hearing, he'll start screaming because he's never heard anything in his life before. He's like freaking out. It's the coolest thing, but it's like very dark. It's a very dark show. So if you're into that, it's really worth it. I was watching it the other night and I was studying. Let me take a study break. I ended up watching 5 episodes. It is just that good. 24 episodes, 20 minutes each. Get into it. That's the slap. The chap, though, has been this whole week. It's been terrible work-wise. Today, I've actually been working 50-hour shifts this week. Not supposed to be from home. But today was rough. But it's part of the job. It's what I want to do. But you just got to push through it, So,
Yeah.
And last but not least.
Okay. So, a few slaps this week. Happy Final Fantasy VII Remake Day. I haven't had a chance to play it, but after this podcast, best believe that's all I'm going to do. That game is my favorite game of my childhood. Like, it
For
literally...
Switch?
No, it's for PS4.
PS4.
It came out originally on PS1. It's remastered now, at least the first part of the game. And so, yeah, I'm super excited. I played the demo, and it's great.
Okay.
Also, in terms of that, I've been reading this book. It's called The Law of One. And basically, it's a spiritual book, but it's written by a physicist and a mechanical engineer. One person, me, basically, which I think is pretty interesting. But basically, the experiment they conduct is like they have a channeler who is like a Christian woman, and they have a lot of like other instruments there to kind of prevent like magnetism, like frequency disruptions, and they essentially channel Ra, which is the god. He's like the leader of the pantheon, and it kind of talks about the evolutions of like different states of consciousness, and it's a really fascinating read because like you can it's like one of those things where like you'd be like, this is kind of hard to believe, but like the language that is used, you can tell isn't bullshit. Like you just kind of feel in reading it that this was written by somebody way farther intelligent than we will ever be in this current lifetime. And like that's what I think is interesting. And it's a fun read because it goes into like the origins of like basically who Jesus was, what is the whole point of life, and that's kind of a question I've been having for a long time now. It's like, what really is the point? And it kind of goes into all of that. And then and the funniest thing about it is that basically the one thing that is encouraged to do is just to meditate. And meditating basically in the different facets of like life. So, I mean, it's been a pretty interesting read in that regard. But what's chapping me is I hadn't really had as much motivation to study this week. Just being inside, I guess no change of scenery hasn't been the best in terms of motivation, but I've been getting back into drawing and stuff as well, so that's been kind of fun. But with that conclusion, this episode of the podcast, we're going to be talking about 2 things. Spirituality, which is going to go further into what I feel the book is talking about. And number 2, weird events in your life. Just moments with people, interactions with random people you don't know, and you're kind of just like, what the fuck? So like that's going to be the segment of the podcast. So to start with spirituality, the reason I think the book is so great is because it's basically talking about dimensions of consciousness, but they're called densities. So basically, like the first density is just water, earth, fire, air, like the 4 elements. And basically what they're saying is like through evolution, these coalesce and that brings life. So it starts basically plant life and animal life. So that kind of person. And basically the whole point of the second density is to become consciously aware of itself. So the idea of I am this thing instead of I am this tribe is the whole point of the essential evolution. And what humans are in is called third density, and it's the focusing on the ego. But the turning point for humans in evolution would be understanding that you can either be of service to self, which is basically manipulating other people and to get the goals that you want, or service of others is more about the collective experience of like life. And so that distinction has to be made within a lifetime. And what they're saying is like the different densities are basically like if you were a fourth density and you went into third density, you'd be viewed as a god because you have so much greater understanding and skills that aren't imaginably possible. So the basic example they give is Jesus. He was somebody who had already progressed into being allowed to be into fifth density, but he decided to stay and help out into fourth density. So he came back, but he didn't really know anything. And I'm not sure, sorry. But basically, like, uh, there's yeah, sorry about that, guys. Basically, they're talking about how Jesus like was basically somebody who could have ascended into a higher density, but he came back in order to teach more. But the thing is, like, the process of being in third density is forgetting who you are. And so the only way Jesus remembered apparently is one day he got really angry at one of his friends when he was younger and fatally wounded him. And that's what changed him into being a path of like understanding love and trying to bring that to other. And I think it's just really interesting because it's just like it's like the book goes into so much depth and it goes into so many different topics and it goes into kind of the origins of how things came to be. And basically it's just like they're really trying to say like through meditation, like you'll understand your place in it. And so the different densities also correspond to the chakra points in the body. The first density is the root chakra, second density is sacral, and third is the solar plexus. And the solar plexus is all about the ego and I, which is what we're stuck on. So, I mean, that's kind of the topic at hand is like, I think I personally believe what this book is trying to say. There's 5 different books, and I'm only on the first one. I'm almost done with it. But basically, like, it's an interesting thing to talk about the evolution and the goal of life. And to me, that's what I think has been what I took away most from the book. But what are you guys' thoughts on any of that?
Well, I've been meditating. Sorry, do you want to go?
No, go ahead.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
Well, here's the thing. I've been meditating since I was 18. Ever since my uncle passed away because of a heart attack. It was very random, but it had an impact on all of us in the family, and it's just been in that we've been in that stage where we just it was a sudden death, so everybody just went through trauma differently. My aunt grieved, but it's just like grieving for me and my parents. It was a little difficult because we couldn't grieve because we wanted to be strong for my aunt. um, but it was just very difficult for us in general, and like I think so because of that, we were essentially um, I won't claim to be religious. I will say I'm very spiritual. I do understand that everything has a time and place, and I do believe in destiny. But I also do believe that there are certain things in my control, so I will definitely try towards making my destiny a lot more sweeter. So yeah, but essentially I started meditating when I was 18, and through that I started seeing. I don't know whether you guys believe this. I don't know whether I may just end up sounding crazy or like I'm hopped up on some psychotropics. I don't know, but I did end up seeing myself in previous lives. Seeing. I don't know whether you guys believe in past life
Oh, yeah, I do.
theory.
The
So
book also
it's
does
like
a great deal of that as well. And that's basically
that's why I figured
Yeah.
I figured that must be one
just
part.
to cut you off just for a second. The book basically says like the Earth for a long time was a third density planet. It's now becoming in this state where it's going to become fourth. So basically, what they're saying is like this is our last time in this lifetime that we would want to be on Earth because we haven't learned the lessons of third density. We're going to go to a different planet. And like I guess that's the whole point. Like there's different galaxies and stuff like that that they're talking about, and basically they're saying like each planet can either grow together or not grow together. But the Earth is at a point now where it's ready to actually ascend. And so any lower people of the mindset of I will be leaving. And so they'll reincarnate to where they left off, basically, and continue the journey. So that's what I take from it. But go from where you're going.
Yeah, so I did end up seeing myself in different births, different so many there were so many things which were unresolved in my past, but then I did end up seeing myself do them in my previous birth. So I said, okay, you know what? So then I saw a resolution of them in this life. So I saw a resolution of like why I got bullied was because I was a terrible person in certain births, and so again it's I know this sounds very strange. It sounds definitely supernatural, very meta.
Yeah,
And I know
I get it though. Like, that's the thing,
esoteric.
I was hesitant to bring up this topic, but it's just like when you read the book, you have a sense of like just kind of being like, wow, there's a bigger picture here, one that we may or may not understand. And that's why like I wanted to bring it up is like if somebody right now is looking for the meaning of what is, what better place to start than looking at something that you can clearly see is beyond you. Like when I read the book sometimes I'm like, what the fuck, I didn't understand any of that. But then it's
Yeah.
like it keeps me thinking about what it is.
Yeah. So I ended up a lot of just a little thing. So it just one incident was it's um, turns out my aunt, the one who recently lost a couple of years back lost her husband, was my mother in many births. So that's one of the reasons why she has like a strong maternal instinct towards me. And but like of course in this birth my parents are, well, my parents. So it just feels like, I mean, so yeah, so while there is a strong, I have a strong instinct of like familial instinct towards my aunt, I don't look at, because of course because of this current form and consciousness that I am, I won't look at her as a mother, but of course I will look at her as a mother figure, because of course aunt is a mother figure in your
Right.
life. So that's like one thing, but it's like so many things about my past or past lives, so to speak. Because there have been so many locations that I've visited, like be it Manhattan, be it Hong Kong, be it Germany, be it UK. I've always known that these places looked very familiar, and these places felt familiar. The sights felt familiar. The smells felt familiar. There's always this sense of like belonging to them. But and so weirdly, it turns out that I've had in different generations, in different lifetimes, I've had a life there, and like there have been like, of course, I've lived a life there. I've lived a fulfilling life there. I've fought in different wars, as it seems. So so yeah, I do believe that we do belong to a different kind of consciousness, and that I think meditation definitely helps. It definitely helped deal with a lot of trauma that I had. So it helped me
Yeah.
become a stronger person, I will say. I mean, I can deal with some of the shit in my life. I don't But the sad part is I don't get as much time as I want to like meditate now, because of the way my work is set up. So, but I would definitely like to get back into meditating and listening to chants. And there is one school of thought where it's in Hinduism, which says that there's a specific school of thought which worships the feminine aspect of divinity. It's called Shakti. So they say that if you worship it, or if you try to imbibe it within you, because of course at the end of the day it's energy. Energy is neither created nor destroyed. You can just transfer, you can just either absorb it from the universe, or you can send it out into the universe. That's why they say words have power.
Yeah.
So that's why it's like when you
I mean,
curse someone.
that's I think the most apparent thing about meditation is that you can really sit down and think about why you have the recurring thoughts you have. Like when I first started meditating intensely, which is like probably like 3 months ago, I started noticing that I was so quick to judge people in terms of like making a funny comment. And it was like, wait, like, you know what? This person did nothing to me. Why am I doing this? Like, it's human nature in one sense. But then you start thinking about it and you're like, wow, we've been trained to be this shallow, And it's like, I've been really trying to cut that shit out. Like, he's kind of told me, like, you went from the person who basically said things with no remorse to now kind of being like a little bit more chill about things or a bit more understanding about things. And I think like me and purpose, like I feel like from my experience, it's like what you put out into the world is what you get back. And so what I started to realize, like, like if I just gave everybody love, like, like if I just like, like try to be more open and more just like understanding, like that's exactly what you're gonna get back. And so I mean, for me, it's like my meditations are more basically on focusing, like, why is it that I'm not happy sometimes? Why is it that I'm not this? And trying to understand like other things. And like the reason I brought up chakras in a sense was because like I was already starting to teach myself like how to use them, and basically like you learn that they control a lot of things. And so for me right now, I'm focusing on the sacral chakra, which is the second one. And basically, it's your basically if you ever feel like you have a lack of energy, lack of emotions, sexuality, which isn't really an issue for me, but it is for a lot of other people. Like that chakra governs that. So for me, I feel fatigued all the time, and so I'm starting to notice like, wow, if I focus on this and I try to feel the energy in that center, I actually feel a lot better. And over the past couple of days, I've been feeling substantially happier just based on that inner work. And I think for a lot of people, the whole point of this podcast is to help people grow. Like, if you fall into really bad habits and you always think like, oh, why can't I do this? Whether that be, why can't I pick up a chick I want? The problem was largely can also be internally, like, why is it that you don't have the self-belief? Like, really sit down and focus on those things, and you could be really surprised where your brain would take you or where you think you need to work on, whether that be, oh, I don't look the way that I want to look. Okay, well, like now that you know that that is the thought that you have, that's the thing you need to work on, and then maybe confidence grows. Like, there's stuff like that. Like, and you can get that from not meditating, but it's so much more apparent when you do, because the reoccurring thoughts that stay with you really come to fruition in meditation. Like, it's like when you just sit there and zone into yourself, you start to realize like what is not within alignment with
Yeah, no, I'm actually going to change the title a little bit, but it's along the same lines, dealing with consciousness. But like the past, very weird. So like I would say the past like 2 or 3 weeks, I've been remembering my dreams a lot more, which is kind of uncommon. Um, and a lot of them have been like, I guess, for lack of a better term, like different realities, like what ifs, kind of. A lot of my dreams have been that they haven't been in the future, but they've been like set in the past of people I haven't seen in years. I remember one I remember it was on Monday, and it was literally with people from sophomore year, people I didn't even remember their name, people I haven't thought about in like over a year or two, and their faces were just popping up in my head during the dream, and I was like recognizing them and stuff. And basically, the dream was we were at a restaurant and we were surrounded by cops because we were out during the quarantine, and they were threatening to put us in prison. But no, it was just weird because like when I woke up, obviously I was happy because I was in jail, but I was just thinking back to it, and I'm like, man, like a couple of those people, I had no idea who their names were. I couldn't remember. I just remember seeing their faces. And I remember the next night I had a dream about someone I knew from high school, and it was pretty much a what if I was like still like in communication with them. We were out like having dinner, somebody I hadn't seen or talked to in years, somebody I have on social media, of course. But I've just been really having like those kind of dreams lately, and it's been kind of freaking me out because I don't really like remembering my dreams so much. But and they've been dreams where I felt like really happy during the dream, and then when I wake up, I'm like, oh man, like dang, that felt good,
Yeah.
But it's been so strange, like our brains are just crazy. I don't know. Have you guys had weird dreams? Sorry, I'm changing.
I've been having
yeah.
weird dreams recently, but it's been more just like, oh, well, like just like I remember like I had a dream of like with somebody like in high school that I wasn't even friends with that I didn't like. I was like in the car with him, somebody else, like don't even remember who it was, and for some reason we were just smoking weed like in his car. And like the only thing I remember, the important fact about it was like the guy that we knew, we used to call him Hippie, and all he would do was get high. And like he was the one driving the car. Like it was just a weird dream like that. And like I literally have not thought about this person in years. And like this
Mm.
just that's cool, I guess.
Yeah, I've had a dream. I've had dreams where I've ended up meeting. So here's the thing: like it's in high school, I ended up having a dream of um, I don't know whether it was a dream or whether it turned into reality or when it was going to turn into reality. But I did end up having a dream of ended up that I would end up meeting, you know, it seems very derivative, but I did end up having a dream of like I'd end up, learning martial arts eventually and like joining a club,
Mm.
learning martial arts and all that stuff and meeting certain people. And eventually that ended up being the UF Taekwondo club. And then through that, I ended up meeting you guys. So it's like by extension, like I've had dreams about like me doing stuff eventually, which of course within, I guess, speaking in terms of like time, the concept of time, like in my timeline, it just accelerated and like further ahead in my timeline. So yeah, there have been moments where I just like felt like Neo in the Matrix, where I'm just like, yo, this is like a straight up deja vu moment. Like I've seen this moment before, I know what's gonna happen, and the exact same thing happens. I'm just like, hey.
Yeah.
So yeah,
I
it's I
had
think
deja
it's
vu once, but that was when I was
so I guess it's precog. You can call it
Mm.
precognition. I don't know, it's like you said, Ivy. It's like our brains are just hardwired very differently, and
Mm.
like a lot of people don't understand this, but like energies do flow in and around you. It's just like we don't see them, and we experience them, but we don't see them.
young. Yeah.
So I
And
don't know.
with that point, like that's why I think like it's so interesting. It's like I really am focusing on like what I put out. Like if anything, like
Yeah.
it's like like I want to put out that I'm genuine and that like I care for people. So like I always try to
Mm.
see loving energy. Or if I see somebody who like needs help, I'll ask them if they need help or something like that. Because I just like at the end of the day, you realize that like you are basically a product of like what you put out, and it's like like something the book talks about that was really eye-opening is like there becomes a distinction made within like I guess the third density, so 3D consciousness, where basically like you can either choose to be a service of self, which is basically becoming a me first oriented person and manipulating people to get to your goals, or becoming a service of others. And so they even describe it as a positive or negative path. Uh, and the interesting thing about it is like if you go with the positive path, eventually you reach like a state of consciousness where we're all oneness. And like that's really a weird esoteric kind of thing. Like we all become like a collective consciousness. And that doesn't happen for a long time, but it's like that's kind of the state where whereas like if you go the negative path, you don't want to give up that power. But in order to ever basically evolve into something greater, you have to learn the hard way of how to give it up.
Yeah, I guess for me with the whole spirituality thing, I take it kind of as the golden rule, and because that right there, and plus like Sir Isaac Newton's ideas of like motion and laws, you know, whatever action has an equal and opposite reaction, do unto others as they do unto you. I really just try to follow that mostly. I mean, hey, if you need to go to church, if you need to go to a mosque or read whatever, that's totally fine. But for me, I just try to be the best person I can be every single day. I try to make the best decisions, and again, sometimes I make the wrong decision. Sometimes I mess up. I look at my mess ups and I realize, hey, this is a mistake. Like I'm trying to improve this, and you know, I always want to say this: never get satisfied or comfortable for where you are right now. Always seek to improve yourself. Always seek to learn something new. Always seek to get better. Don't sit on your laurels because you're not growing as an individual. Clearly, like go out there and read a spiritual book. Go out there and experience life. That's one of the ways that you're gonna learn and grow and be a better person because the more experiences you have out there, the better equipped you'll be when later down in life. And just because it may be safer, it may be more comfort in staying in neutral. not wanting to go outside your comfort zone too much, try it. You never know what you might like. You know, that's one of the big things. You know, I like the spiritual talk because, personally speaking, I don't really meditate all that often, but I would love to get into it. And now, since my Benny and Amog have talked about meditation and how that's a really good way for you just to improve yourself. I'm going to start looking more into that and focus on maybe meditating my own self and seeing what other things I can improve on.
Mhm.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
I think challenging your thoughts, because I mean, like, to keep in perspective, like, I don't want to come off as like this religious person or anything like that, because like for many years I was an atheist and I thought we died, we just died, and that was more in high school. But then as I grew up more, I became more agnostic in the idea of like there has to be some sort of greater power involved, because like if you even just look at your surroundings, you're like, look, the trees, like they're built in a certain way, like things have energy, like like that's the thing, like it's just like everything is made in such a beautiful and complex way. Like when I found this book, I in the weird way, the message really is, it's like either you could take it the way that I'm taking it, which is where it resonates with me, or you don't take it that way. But the thing is, like, the whole point of it was like they're saying, like, the whole point was like if it resonates with one person, that can influence other people. And that kind of idea, it's like just it's a thought that like I never really had. Like I never had this like kind of idea of oneness before. Like I had the basic principles and stuff like that, but then you start to realize, like, if that is the natural way that pattern of evolution works, like how can you essentially like live your life more accordingly to that? And so like just from meditation, I realized, like the more love I give out, the more everything gets better around me, and that has been something true. And it's like you shouldn't be acting in a disingenuous way about doing it, and I think that's a distinction. But you should see it as like, look, like we're all on this planet together. Why are we trying to kill ourselves? Like, or why are we trying to do harm to others? And I think that's what's interesting about this book in a sense. Like, it kind of gives the meaning of life in a different kind of sense. And I think that to me is what's been most interesting about it. It's really been challenging my own personal beliefs, and I'm just really fascinated reading about it.
Yeah. So I guess
There's a funny.
go
Oh,
you go on,
sorry.
Amog.
Yeah, there's a really funny incident which I have to say. I like my family, like from my father's side, is essentially they're more hardwired towards science and believing in science. um, you know Even though they like I which I find very strange, because ancient science and technology, it was technically called philosophy. And a lot of people, like a lot of modern day researchers are coming back to that concept of, like, philosophy which is infused into technology. It makes for a better understanding of how our universe works. But enough of that, I'm not going to get into that. What I am going to get into is, like, I've tried talking to about like meditation with my relatives, and always the very same answer comes, that, oh, I don't have any issue in my life. Here's where I disagree. You don't have to
No,
have issues in your life to meditate. You meditate to understand yourself better.
no, but I
You
think
don't have to have issues in your life
that's
to meditate.
hard for people to reconcile, right? Is that like I also thought of it in that way, because like I would say I don't really have many problems with my life either. Like everybody has instances that occur that, like, okay, maybe now would be a good time to meditate, blah blah blah. Like, but like once I started getting into it, I'm like, I just like it because like there's a sense of peace and understanding and calmness that you can't really attain elsewhere. Like it's like like I talk about weed or whatever sometimes on the podcast, and it's like like that was giving me a sense of peace. But this is a different sense of peace in the sense of like it's completely natural. You'll feel calm, you'll feel relaxed, and you'll have a greater appreciation for the finer things in life. Like it's not necessarily about the problem. It's like recently I got more into just nature and plants just from meditating, and I got more into just the idea of just like being present in the moment, and like that's the thing, like I wouldn't have gotten that anywhere else, and like I do it now more so for being present in the moment than really any real issues that I have. But that's the thing, like I think
Yeah.
it's hard to persuade people to be like, hey, you should meditate, and it's like, oh, well, I don't have any problems. And I'm like, okay, yeah, cool, but like, just do it. And like, if you don't feel refreshed, okay, good for you. But like, I guarantee you leave that moment, and that's it. Like, and the thing is, like, I think another common misconception is like, you don't have to meditate for like 5 hours to get this stunning realization. Like, most of the time when I first started, I only did it for 20 minutes, and I instantly felt better. Now I do it more out of like just how long I can go, how I feel, how long I should go, and like that could range between whatever amount of time it is. But it's like, I leave it in a sense of just calmness, understanding, and relaxedness, and it's the nicest feeling of like warmth that you can have. I don't know, like, this thing, like, it's just a very grounding kind of practice.
Yeah, it's essentially it's meant to provide perspective. I don't think meditation in any way is supposed to be. It's like I like. In fact, funnily enough, there was this girl I was talking to, and I asked her. I told her, I said, "Hey, I meditate. So it's like, do you meditate or do you like engage in any spiritual, this thing?" She's like, "I hate to meditate." Quote unquote. This is literally what she said, and I was like, "Why do you hate it?" I said, "It literally just calms everybody. It calms you down." She's like, "No, it doesn't act. It doesn't do anything to me." She's like, "Can we change the topic?" I'm like, "Okay, sorry,
I
I didn't mean to
think
get
that is
personal."
just well, because like a lot of people cry when they meditate. Like, for example, if,
Mm,
like, they're overly like, say like if you have a
wound
girl or
up.
guy. No, I mean, say you have a girl or a guy who's like over controlling in their relationship, and for some reason that pops up, and then they have to do the kind of inner work of being like, well, why am I so over controlling? And then they might come to the conclusion like, oh, somebody did that to me, and now I imitate that because that's how I feel should do. And then it's like letting go of that, like, because there's a lot of hidden problems people have that they don't even realize,
Yeah,
that
yeah,
become
yeah,
there. And I think
True.
that's
yeah.
probably where the kind of anger comes from. But I think with that, if anybody wants to add a little bit more to the topic before we move on, if not, go to the next bit.
Yeah. No, I'm good. Let's
Pretty
move
You
good.
on
guys,
to our
yeah, I
next
think
topic.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Our next topic is going to be random encounters with strange people. Does anybody want to start with that?
I can
Okay.
go.
All right.
So it's this I think was my first semester in Gainesville, in my master's program. So I was really excited, but so it's like, of course, it's this is the first time I lived alone. Like,
Mm.
I mean, I've traveled alone. I've traveled alone, but living alone it's quite a daunting experience. It's like buying groceries, making sure that you have clean clothes, doing your
Yeah.
laundry, cooking, all that stuff. It takes some time to, like, for you to get into a groove. So I think this is like my third or fourth week in, and I was on West University Avenue, and I think this is near it's one of those restaurants. It's just past the Continuum. I don't know if any of the listeners know this place. It's just past the Continuum. It's along that strip where Gyro's was.
Mm.
Gyro
Oh,
place was. So along that strip, it's dark, and there's like this hooded figure is like, I can see this. I think this was post my dinner, so it was around 8 9 o'clock, and this hooded figure is coming towards me, and like by then I was used to like homeless people and crackheads asking for money. So this person comes up to me and like he points out something like shiny, and like he's like, I know what, and he's like, he just points out something shiny. He or she, I don't, at this point I don't know who it is, and they're like, can you give me some money? Very most polite mugging ever.
That's not a
So
mugging.
like, that's not even a mugging at this point. It's just like,
what
please,
you
can you
mean?
spare me some
Like,
change with like
man.
some, like, I'm like, wow, this is the most polite mugging ever. Like, it's just
Hey,
like
can you
you're just
subscribe to
pointing
my
a knife,
OnlyFans?
Pretty much.
like, literally.
I'm sorry, I had to.
So
Yeah.
so I don't, honestly, at this point I don't mind. OnlyFans is a disease, guys. So
It's only a disease if you're not making money from it.
That's true. Hey, there's
You're
some
helping other
crazy
people
stuff going on
prosper.
with OnlyFans though.
Buy them
Uh,
that
yeah,
I,
we
bro.
But sorry to interrupt, Big Mo. Go
yeah,
ahead.
sorry. So so this person just comes up to me, and and I see it's a knife, so I'm like, so I automatically react with like the way I was trained by like by one of my masters back home. So I literally just I deflect the knife and I throw him over my shoulder, and he literally lands on his back on the pavement, and I ground and pound him like 1-2 combo, and that's it. And guys, this is when I was like 220 pounds of fat. So me throwing someone over my head, like literally that level of force, it's like it's a lot of force, and it's like on like fucking concrete. Like that was like some straight, just throwing someone, and I just threw this guy, and I reacted literally like how I did during the techniques. Only difference was when I was throwing someone, there was a mat. There was like a padded mat on the floor, so when the person fell down, he didn't fucking get knocked out. This person, unfortunately, I'm not gonna take any ethnic, like I'm not like he unfortunately was of a particular ethnicity.
He was black.
I want.
He was a Negro.
Yes, thank you. I didn't say anything.
That's
Anything,
racist.
guys. I didn't say anything. He was, but he was. He had no teeth. He had no teeth. He had bad skin.
He had
And
no
guys,
job. He had no home, and you beat him up.
Oh, Mo, you
Yeah.
really powerful against the homeless people. I hate to see you against the cripples.
He came at me with a knife. Now here's the fucked up part. The knife was a plastic knife. Like literally, it was literally as plastic.
I'm gonna give you such a pinch. I'm gonna give you such a pinch.
Yeah, and I didn't even know that. See, here's the thing. It's when you're trained in self-defense, the first thing you're trained, the first thing you come to know is it's to always avoid any kind of confrontation. Second of all is if you cannot avoid any confrontation, you fight to kill. It's either kill or be killed. That is literally how I was trained. It was literally beaten into me. So for me, it's like if someone tries to come at me in any kind of way, I just react in that sense. Now this person came at me. First of all, it's dark. I cannot see any weapon. The all I could see was something shiny, and I don't know what this dude came at. Like I don't know what he was trying to do. So I just threw him. And then now here's the most awkward part. I had to call the cops for obvious reasons to tell them that okay, this was the situation. So I called up the cops, and like I call up 911, and I'm just like, hey, there's been a mugging. So I'm like the most like matter of factly voice. This person is like, yes. So tell me what's the problem? So I said, yeah. So there's been a mugging, but I have apprehended the suspect, I guess, the culprit, perpetrator, whatever. And they're like, okay, where is he? I said, yeah, I'm sitting on him. So I literally said, yeah, I'm sitting on him. So and like there was like a pause, like a pregnant pause, and then they're like, can you repeat that, sir? I said, yeah, I'm sitting on him. I said, I've knocked him out, and I'm sitting on him. And he tried to mug me with a knife, and they're like it's like to like I think she put this thing on speaker because after they heard what I said, there was just laughter erupted. I'm like, can you just send medical services or like first responders or someone, please? This is like I don't want to go to jail or something because I look really awkward sitting on this person. Because I was fat for lack of better words.
Like, if it were me in that situation and I knocked the dude out, I'm like, okay, I'm just going home now.
No, here's the thing. Like see again, like back then I was like first timers, and like it's like we were instructed during like first week of like. Patient, like if you get into trouble, like just call up 911 or something.
Yeah.
So plus like when I threw homeboy, it was in front of a street camera, so unfortunately these guys would have me on doing that technique on camera anyways. So I said, might as well just jump ahead of this controversy and like be on point with this. So I did, and then the first responders, when they hear the full story, they just burst out laughing. And that's how I got to train with cops. Actually, that's how I essentially, like, one of the cops is like, hey, listen, do you want to train with us or something? So yeah, that's essentially also how I got to train with some cops in like restrainment techniques. So yeah, like all in all, it worked out my way. But that was a very awkward experience throwing some random black dude over my shoulder. Well, and it's like essentially it was like literally throwing someone over 6 feet 2 inches onto the ground. So that's like literally from here down onto the ground. That's like a lot of impact.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, man, I'm sorry to all the crackheads who have to go through that.
Yeah.
Shout out.
I mean, well,
Shout out to that one
yeah,
crackhead.
shout out to the crackheads. You know, that's what we'll title this episode. You know, my was randomly one day, like I think this was like sophomore year. I finished one of my exams, and it's like near Library West, so it's like I think like 10:30 or 11 o'clock, and I'm going home. And then this dude, he's like, comes up to me and he reeks of beer, and he's like, "Hey, bro, do you want to be my friend?" And I was like, sure, I guess. Like, you know, like as he approached me, I started to smell like the beer, and he was like, "Yeah, you know." So he's like, "I just broke up with my girlfriend," and then he
Oh
just started
man,
screaming, "Fuck you, Aubrey! That's right, my friend Penny has got my back," and I'm just kind of like,
man, I don't
"Yeah."
even know you.
And he's like hugging me and shit, and I'm like, I don't know if he was like a violent drunk, and I was like, yeah. So I was like, so what happened? And she was like, oh, she cheated on me, and I'm like, oh yeah, fuck you, Aubrey. And then he started just
Fuck that
laughing,
bitch.
and like I put him, and then like I put him off of me, and then I'm like, have a good night. And then like he wanted to keep like following me, and I was like, nah, dude, just go home. You know, like you're a little drunk, like you won't remember this later. And then like it was just so funny because it was like out of all the things that could happen, it's just like so out of his mind. And like, but he was a nice drunk, you know. That's all I
Yeah,
really
no,
can say. He was
that's
nice. Yeah, you know.
I
At least he
got
didn't go out swing. He didn't go out
what?
swinging. That's
Yeah.
good.
True. Yeah, man. But yeah. So I have another homeless story. It's actually two quick stories, both about homeless people. If you don't know, I'm from South Florida, so you got some weird, really weird people down there. But the first one's in Gainesville. So my sophomore year, I lived on campus. It's called Murphy area. It's right across the street from where the restaurants and bars are. So I remember one night, it was like a Monday. Um, I crossed the street and I was going to get some pizza. It was like midnight. And I see this homeless guy, right? And he's sitting like on one of the bricks, whatever. It's like a little ledge. He's like, "Hey, man, you got $1?" Right? And you know, I was getting the pizza and I'm like, I had $1. I had at least $1 in my pocket. But I was like, nah, man, because that's like our honest response, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's like the normal response. I say no.
You know what's worse when they do that shit when you're on a date? Like that, I had that happen to me once, and I was like, I'll just give him the dollar because I don't want to become an asshole, like or show that I'm being an asshole.
Yeah, true. But yeah. So I told him, no, man, I'm sorry, I don't got $1. He's like, "Oh, okay." And he's just chilling there, and I go get the pizza, right? And he's literally in a spot where you can see me paying for it. So I pay for the pizza. It was like $5. And you know, I thought back to it, and I'm like, dang, I feel kind of bad. Like I have $1 on me. You know, I can give him $1. You know. So I go up. I get the pizza, and I see him. I'm like, hey man, I actually have $1. So I give him $1, right? And this is what he does. Okay, he takes $1. He doesn't say thank you. He doesn't say thank you. He doesn't say anything. He takes it. I'm like, here, man. You know, do whatever you want to do with it. He takes $1. He stands up. He runs around to an alley. It was the most suspicious thing. Like he takes $1. He runs around like behind. There's like a Catholic church there. He runs behind the Catholic church into an alley. He just runs away. And I'm like, what the heck? Is he going to like his plug or something? But this is actually a very quick homeless story. It deals with my grandpa actually. So, being from South Florida, Miami, you have a lot of very weird people. This is a funny story. So,
You
anyways,
guys are already laughing. It must be funny, man.
So, yeah, it's weird. So, like where my grandparents live is like a weird area. It's a place called Opalaka. Look it up online. You might not see the best photos.
Best place.
Yeah, best place. So
At least it's not Leon County and its projects.
Callback.
hey, we don't play Leon County. They play a different game up there, bro.
Yeah,
It's a raw game.
Raw dog.
It's a
They
raw
play
game.
they play with
It's a
people
raw
up there.
It's a raw game.
But anyways, my
Yeah, they
grandpa.
go there.
That's a whole different topic. Episode 6 that was?
Yeah.
Episode 6.
Episode 6.
Yeah.
Brad
Oh,
as
God.
usual disapproving. Brad as usual being disapproving.
Hey, Hey, Leon County's not a bad place, but you gotta watch out. But anyways, my grandpa was driving, and he was there. So like in his area, there's a homeless guy, and the guy's been gone for years. Maybe he's dead. I don't know. This is when I was really young. I was maybe like 12 or 13. But there's a homeless guy, and he'll be on the corner, and he'll be pretending, to box, right? So he'll be punching,
Shadow boxing.
he'll be shadow boxing,
He's shadow
like,
boxing.
legit shadow boxing, and we would be there. Me and my brother would be in the back seat when we were young. My grandpa would pick us up from school, take us to his house, and he'll be shadow boxing, like just punch in the air, and then when it was like a red light, you come to cars and beg, right? So he was just shadow boxing one day.
Gonna work on him.
Yeah, something like that. I don't even know, dude. So my grandpa's like a savage. He's 80 now, but he was maybe in his 70s back then. So the shadow boxing guy, he comes into my grandpa's window, and he's like looking in like that. Right? And my grandpa's ignoring, right? He's kind of he's the nicest guy you'll meet, but he's, ignoring. He's like, I'm not dealing with that. So the guy's like looking in, trying to get his attention, trying to get money. This is a red light. The boxing guy, the homeless guy, goes to the back of my grandpa's car, the back seat. He goes up to the window, and he's like, bang, bang. He just bangs. I kid you not. He bangs on the window. And my grandpa's like, yo, what the? He just drives on. It's a just a random guy just beats on his window. It was funny. We weren't in the back seat. My grandpa told me that happened, but it's just crazy. Homeless people are crazy. Shout out to homeless people and crackheads and Leon County.
Crackheads and Leon County.
Oh my! Wow. So my craziest story with people, I got a couple of like a little bit short stories.
God. Mm-hmm.
This goes international, man. This is when I was in Berlin, Germany, for the summertime, and for some strange reason, I don't know. I guess there's not a lot of black people in Germany, and I also went to Amsterdam, and there's a really funny story about that. So when I went to Germany, I have these like wrestling shorts, like very low cut and like a very like light blue color, and I was wearing. I'm not sure you guys know. I guess Americans must know this, but powder puff football is a thing where girls play football and guys cheerlead, and I did that in high school, and I was wearing that shirt. It said powder puff.
You're cheerleaded?
Yeah, no, I was a cheerleader, but it wasn't like nothing crazy. It was like a day.
Okay, gotcha.
Like I'm not sure you guys ever had that in your high school, or you
we
guys
have powder puff. Yeah,
Yeah,
we just have people cheering, just girls playing.
Yeah, that's pretty much what it was. And this gay guy saw me from a Starbucks cafe because I was telling my friends, we were just talking, and he pointed to his hat, and he pointed to me, and his hat is pink and it said unicorn, and he's pointing my shirt, and it was pointing to me, and I was like, "Hey, how you doing?" And
come here, sugar.
No, he runs outside to come talk to me, and I just curved the fuck out of this dude. I feel like a girl at that point. I was like, I just curved the fuck out. I'm like, okay, pal, have a nice day.
Okay, friend.
That's pretty much what I did, and he looked so defeated. It wasn't even funny. I'm not gay, man. I'm sorry.
Just to put things in perspective, after I think the United States, Berlin, in Germany, like Germany and Europe, the population of homosexuals is like the largest in. Like Germany has the largest amount of homosexuals in.
Yeah. Well, I'm not gonna lie. I'm gonna get to that, Mo. Like they have a.
Like,
Sorry?
I mean, you can kind of feel that when you go to Germany, because like they have a lot of like not propaganda, but like old style kind of propaganda, looking like photos all over the place with like two men kissing. But it's like not even really spoken about, but it goes on there, and it's perfectly fine. But like you can kind of feel it, and like the amount of gay bars they also have was like pretty high from other places I've seen. But.
Oh yeah, I was gonna get to that. They have guys' nights there, which I'm like, yo, sign me the fuck up. I get in for free drinks, bitch. Hell yeah. I'm not about to pay for my goddamn drinks. Shit, that's a good goddamn deal. You tell me that ain't a good deal. You look at my face right now and tell me that ain't a fucking good deal. All of you. All you look at my
Yeah,
face right now and tell me
listen,
no, you won't do that.
Brad. Brad, it is a good deal, but I don't want
You
some
wouldn't do it.
dude staring
You
a
wouldn't
hole.
do it. You wouldn't do it.
Let
You wouldn't do
Brad,
it.
let me complete.
So yes,
What I'm trying to say is,
okay, fair enough.
Brad, let me complete. All I'm saying is, that is a good deal. I didn't say it's not a good deal. It's a great deal, but I don't want a dude staring a hole into my pants. That's what I'm trying to say. If you let me fucking complete, I don't want a dude staring a hole into
I
my
gave him
pants.
a free. I gave him a free drink.
This
He
is
can stay the
why.
whole pants all he wants. He ain't gonna get nothing.
See, now I
Shit.
understand why girls go in groups.
Mm.
Exactly. Hey, exactly. I'll be in my clique and I'll and I'll just be like, yeah, man, yo, I got them free. I got 2 free drinks before
Mhm.
11 p.m. Fuck yeah. And also, another weird story. This happened to me in Amsterdam. I was just arriving in Amsterdam. We're taking a tram from the countryside of Amsterdam to the city, and there's this farmer, is a black guy who lived in Amsterdam, and I was talking to him, and he was talking to me, and we were having a very good conversation about like, I asked him like, what's it like living here? How's it like it? And he asked me, so hey, are you American? And I said, oh, where are you? He said, where are you from? Oh, so I'm from America. Was skin that dark? I thought you were And I was like, yeah, man, thanks. And I was walking away after
Like,
that. I was like,
was
Sorry.
he light skin? Like, was he
yes,
light skin?
he was light skinned. I guess
That's
he didn't see a lot of the
that's
American movies, and he was so surprised to see a darker skinned American black guy talking to him, and like, yeah,
Have,
You guys never
have you
heard of
heard
Martin
that?
Luther
Have
King?
you?
hmm?
Said he's never heard of Martin Luther King?
Oh, they don't. Oh, he has heard of Martin Luther King, the religious guy, not the black guy.
Oh, yeah.
He's heard of Martin Luther. He's not heard of Martin Luther King.
Yeah, Martin Luther. Gotcha.
Yeah. So
Go ahead.
also guys. Yeah. So this I think, like, Brad, your story reminds me of the Aries Spears skit where he talks about like how African people. Uh,
That's a
I,
great one.
Ivy, I think you should say it because you're allowed to say the N word. If I say the N word, the liberals are going to get angry again. So
Wait, I've seen that scene, the African man one. I've seen it maybe like 40
so
times.
so that, yeah, I think you should say it because it's like African people, they love, like, African people like from Africa, they love white people, like, yeah, the white man.
It's
So
so
but
true.
like but then when but when the same story comes to like talking, like, African people hate African Americans. They're like,
Oh yeah, they do.
Yeah.
This nigga.
they say,
Uh,
yeah,
We don't like the black men in America. You don't work.
work, you don't work, you don't do
the
shit.
reason why it's kind of fucked up is due to the Hollywood system, because Hollywood always puts black American men as the gangsters, as the freeloaders, as the lazy guy who doesn't give a fuck, and that's all they see. And
Or the
when you
guy who
watch,
dies first in a horror movie.
yeah, like that's all they see. They don't see successful black men who aren't acting like a fool, like a fucking fool. I'm sorry,
Mhm.
but and that's the thing. Like, I took an African American studies class, and I had a lot of Haitian people there, and they were telling me that when they were growing up, their parents straight told them, "Hey, I don't want you talking to that black African American kid anymore," because
What?
yeah, no, because they believe that because they've seen through movies, through TV, TV shows, whatever, that African American people act a fool. They don't have a hard work ethic. They don't work for anything. They're lazy. They're shiftless. They're I'm gonna say it. They're niggerish. But that's what they see. And unfortunately, it's due to unfortunately the system that has perpetuated that sort of thing to them, and they don't like being called African American. They like being called Haitian. They don't like being called black. They like being called Haitian, and that's their thing. I'm just like, okay. I think
Yeah,
that
yeah, I know.
might be a little bit too narrow, and I hope somebody can come into your life who is African American and show you not all of us act this way. This is just I hope you can understand that that's a TV show and that's a fucked up system they're trying to perpetuate with black people, and I don't like it.
Yeah, but I mean, like,
Yeah.
just to kind of end in a funny but still messed up note, this goes back to the story of a communal friend of ours, where he was at Walmart and he's paying, and then I guess there's a another black man that works at Walmart sitting down on one of the benches, and he looks at our friend and says, "You know what I hate?" And he's like, "What?" Niggas. Like our friends are kind of like, "What?"
Like,
It's
can you
just
imagine? Can you imagine?
Yeah, could
someone...
you imagine that? Like, that's just like example, and like we've did some deep philosophical talks on that statement, and what we realized is because he was paying, he wasn't a nigga. So yeah, there's that. But we leave you with that note.
Yeah.
Definitely.
You guys
So,
meditate.
Yeah.
Meditate.
A couple of closing comments, you guys. Please, we're at, I believe, 30 subscribers as of this recording.
Mhm.
So again,
Yes,
if we
sir.
can get at least 3 to 5 subscribers a day, that's great. So please tell your friends. We're going to be doing some updates as the week goes on. So once school's over for me, I'll be able to update, and we're going to change up some things, and we might do a little short video of the updates we plan to do. So please be mindful of that.
So,
And again, always please contact us with any other content or things you want us to talk about. Again, our email is thoughtgang65@gmail.com. Mo, what is our Twitter?
uh,
Instagram.
I think
Oh,
it's
sorry.
Twitter
Instagram.
is no, it's fine. Yeah, Twitter is Thought Podcast 2.
Mo, what's
and
our Instagram?
our Instagram handle is at Thoughts Podcast, with an underscore in between.
Yeah, so please
Thoughts underscore podcast.
Yeah, please feel free to message us on all any of those platforms. Again, and if we can get 100 subscribers in the May, we'll watch a shitty movie between Dracula 3000 and Velocipastor. So please, you guys, tell your friends. Road to 100 subs, please.
Guys, in comment, definitely please comment. Tell us which movie you'd like us to watch, because we really we're doing this for the fans. It's only for the fans.
And only fans.
Only
Only fans.
Or
It's
as-
not on
Right.
OnlyFans,
or
guys.
as I
We're
like
not
to
going to
call
send.
eBay.
Only
We're
fans.
not- we're not gonna-
$100 a minute.
We're not going to send feed pics, guys. Nobody's going to send you feed pics over here.
I
We're
mean,
guys. We're
we
straight.
could make that a
Sorry.
Patreon tier for $1,000. We could send feed pics.
Listen, man, I do many petty on my feet and hands. Let me know, all right? Y'all want some feet pics? Y'all want some arches? I got some arches for you, all right? Some ankle highs? I got you, man. Listen, all right? And guess what? For free. Don't pay for nothing. So
Yeah,
all
no,
you people pay for OnlyFans, guess
it's
what? I'm offering a sub
subscribe.
for free.
Yeah.
The
You
first
ever
hit,
feel like people with foot fetishes work at nail salons?
they work at shoe stores, buddy.
Mhm.
They work at Foot Locker.
You mean the people that clean the shoes? Oh, you mean Full Locker. Never mind.
No, but I'm saying like people like at nail salons, like they do feet stuff. Like like that'd be like a man's room over there that is in that shit. Just like
Listen,
Oh,
listen.
thanks.
Probably gets
Only
off.
thing-
Yeah, it could
Only
probably
thing,
get
man,
off.
I gotta say this. It's kind of like doing drugs for the first time. All right, with us, the first couple of hits are always free. When you come back for more, then you gotta pay. Then you gotta pay a little bit. Once you're hooked, we got you. So please sub to our channel, please. On that note, I guess good night, good evening, whenever you're hearing this.
Good
I
night.
want you to have a great day.
Good
Stay
morning.
safe out there. Wash your hands, cover your face, and bye
And don't
bye.
beat off too much. And
Subscribe.
don't beat off too much. Don't beat off too
Subscribe.
much.
Road to 100
Subscribe.
subscribers.
Subscribe.